One day, I was walking down the road, and a bus passed me by with an advertisement on it. And this advertisement had a very simple message. It said, "Jesus is," and then had a blank line. Jesus is, and that really caught my attention. So I went to the website that was on this advertisement. And on this website, you find the answers that people around the world are able to input to answer that question. And a notable few answers that I found on this website include the following. Jesus is compassionate. Jesus is my homeboy. Jesus is Australian. Jesus is hard to believe. Jesus is everything. Jesus is blue cheese. That one really got me. But what I found is that the same question about the identity of Jesus is being asked today. Everybody wants to know who Jesus really is. I think that's a question that is in everybody's hearts, and they want to have an answer. And this has been going on for the last 2,000 years. We look in today's gospel, and it shows how people were all over the place with who they thought Jesus was. Some people said John the Baptist. Some people said Elijah or one of the prophets. Who Jesus is was on their mind, and they wanted to know who he was. But Jesus, after hearing all these answers, says, "But who do you say that I am?" And Simon Peter responds with a foundational answer of our faith. "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." It's an answer that has been the foundation of the church. Jesus heard that and said, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah. God revealed this to you." Through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, Peter was able to say that. And it was on that foundation that Jesus has built his church. Jesus is the Son of the living God. Now, Jesus claimed divinity throughout his time on earth, and some people believed in him and some people didn't. Some people even wanted to stone him on account of it. The Jews, in fact, were about to stone him in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, and he says, "For what work of mine are you trying to stone me?" And they said, "We're not stoning you for any good work, but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God." So the Jews themselves didn't believe his true claim, that he was the Son of God. Now, many people think Jesus is just some good guy. He said some good things, or he was a prophet at best. And C.S. Lewis actually helps us here. We can see that he can't simply be a good guy. What C.S. Lewis saw is that Jesus is either a liar, a lunatic, or Lord, as he says. Because if Jesus is claiming to be God, he either of these three options is not God, and he's claiming something which is a lie, which would make him a liar, or he's not God, but he thinks he's God. So he's telling the truth, but he's not in his right mind. Or he's claiming to be God, and he's telling the truth, that he is God. He would be, in fact, in this way, Lord. And Peter's answer helps us to see that this is who Jesus is. "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Bingo, Jesus says. Not literally. This is such a foundational teaching for our faith, that Jesus is Lord. And it changes everything for us. It's that foundational teaching that changes our life and the way we live. It changes what we know about the church, that Jesus establishes this church on earth. We know that it's not just a human institution. If Jesus is God, then the church he establishes is not just human, but it's divine. The church that we are a part of today, the Catholic Church, it's God's church on earth, which will endure throughout the centuries. The gates of the netherworld, of hell, the powers of the world can't prevail against it. And that church is going to be able to teach clarity and truth until the end of the age in purity of teaching. If Jesus is God, it also means, as Peter realized, that he could respond to his vocation fully and trust in God's hands the rest of his life. Jesus says to him, "I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven." Now that's quite a lofty vocation. If you're given the keys to the kingdom of heaven, I imagined myself in prayer receiving the keys, I would just give them right back to Jesus. I was like, I cannot do that. That is a lofty vocation. But Peter knew that Jesus is God, and he knew he could trust the vocation that he was called to. And finally, that Jesus is God means that in Jesus is the fulfillment of all our desires and our deepest longings. In Jesus is the fulfillment of our deepest desires and longings. Because he is God, the one who created us, fashioned us, knows us deeply in all of our longings and desires. That means in Jesus, all these things are fulfilled. That Jesus is God changes everything. The church, our vocations, and the fulfillment of all our desires. Now, this is the best news, that Jesus isn't just blue cheese, that Jesus is the Son of God. But today people have this question, who is Jesus? And many people don't know that Jesus is the Son of God. To them, it's still, he could be a prophet or some good guy. But we who know that Jesus is the Son of God, it changes everything for us. And we have to want that for everybody in the world. We have to go out and proclaim the very thing that Peter did, that Jesus isn't just a liar or a lunatic. He's Lord. To point to Jesus for others, for them to see, is one of the best things that we can offer to the world. Now, St. Francis of Assisi, it's attributed to him the saying, "Proclaim the gospel at all times, and when necessary, use words." And this means to proclaim this very foundational, fundamental teaching of who Jesus is, and that it radically changes our lives for the good. I've heard the sad fact that around the world, different symbols are recognized and understood. And this fact that it's true, they did a poll, they found that the cross of Christ, the symbol of the cross, is not as recognizable as the McDonald's symbol or the Nike symbol. All around the world, if you were to choose somebody as if it were a poll, and you showed them the cross, and then you showed somebody a McDonald's symbol, they're actually more likely to recognize the McDonald's symbol. Oh yeah, that's a fast food chain. Rather than seeing a cross and saying, oh, that's the instrument that Jesus died on and the sign of salvation. There's a lot of work to do to tell people who Jesus is, to let them know that he is the Christ, the Son of God. As Father Jim often says, who Jesus is makes all the difference. Who Jesus is changes everything. He is the Christ, the Son of the living God. Let's go forward and in any way we can witness to who Jesus is, that he is the Christ, the Son of the living God.